welcome. My name is Georgia Court. I'm the proprietor here, and I'm very happy to welcome Florida Studio Theater people here because I'm a Florida Studio Theater people myself. I'm lucky enough to serve on the board, and a fellow board member is here with me, Gail Bartolt, who's here tonight. And it is such a delight to see all of you because I think we're going to have a very lovely discussion, and there will be a Q&A for all of you afterwards. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the way we usually do things, that if you feel like you just really need to get up and get another glass of wine, please help yourselves. Okay, I don't think this is meant to be very formal. I want to introduce our two speakers tonight. Catherine Randazzo, who is behind me, is an FST associate artist and serves as literary manager, in-resident director, line producer for FST's summer cabaret series, and a teaching artist. She's a little bit busy, I think. She's directed many productions at FST. For example, A Place in the Sun, a tribute to Stevie Wonder, and the 70s, more than a decade. How many of you saw those two cabarets? Okay, so yeah, they were super, right? And that's just two of the many cabarets that she directed at FST. And she's also directed Main Stage and Stage 3 series. So she is an all-around fabulous FST director. She's been part of the Sarasota. Catherine has been part of the Sarasota artistic community since 1990 and has appeared in plays, musicals, cabarets, new play readings, voiceovers, commercials, fundraisers, and she's toured in national and international productions. She's a member of the board of directors for the National New Play Network, and that's one reason why we're here tonight, because Catherine is going to be talking about new play development at Florida Studio Theater, and that's the reason our playwright, Victor Lesniewski, is that good enough?
That's how I say it.
That's how you say it. But is it good enough?
That's not me. That's not the proper Polish way to say it.
What's the proper
But I'm
Polish
about
way?
an eighth Polish, so I don't, yeah.
So that doesn't count.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got it.
All right. Victor is a playwright. His plays include The Fifth Domain, which I think you're probably going to talk a bit about tonight, right? And his many plays have been performed at theaters around the country, and there is a long list of those plays, so I opted not to talk about all of them. In recent years, he's developed work at such prestigious theaters as Roundabout Theater Company, New York Theater Workshop, and Playwrights Arena, among many, many others. He's a member of the Playwrights Union and is proud to sit on the Dramatists Guild's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Access Committee. Please welcome Catherine and Victor.
Thank you, Georgia, and thank you to all of you for being here, and thank you, Victor, for flying in today.
Of course, yeah. I was cracking jokes without the microphone on, but they heard me anyway. I'm sorry, George.
Oh, good jokes. I missed them. Okay. All right.
We'll repeat them later.
All right.
How many of you have seen new plays at Florida Studio Theater? Readings, workshops. Okay, great. So you kind of know what we do there. We are in the third week of what we call our Richard and Betty Burdick reading series, which is a new play festival that takes place over 3 weeks, and this is the final week. We rehearse for about 29 hours with a director, a cast, and they get the script and they look at it, and then they meet the playwright, and they have to do their best to make the playwright's words come to life in those 29 hours so that you, the audience, have a chance to experience what it would be like for a playwright to develop it right on the spot. So we're going to talk a little bit about that process. But
They usually do very good work, in my experience. It's very lucky to have actors in a room as a writer. They usually really bring it along in such a short time. So yeah.
Right, because if you're writing plays and you don't have anybody to flesh them out,
Yeah.
it's hard for you to continue to know what the process is.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's go back. Can you talk about just a few of the plays that you've had productions of, and
Sure.
maybe something that would stand out in your mind as being your favorite?
Oh, goodness. You didn't prep me for that one.
I know, sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
closer,
yes.
better.
Yeah.
Yes. Not a performer. I said that. I said that before quietly. I'm sorry. I lived in New York for a long time, and I no longer live in New York, but I got my start in theater there. And my very first play out of grad school, I had teamed up with an actor who I was in grad school with, which is this lovely, fantastic Bosnian actress, and she was on stage in Bosnia, like their national theater, doing Lady Macbeth, and she came to this little podunk program in the U.S., and she had a bit of an accent, and no one wanted to cast her in anything. So we sort of teamed up, and she had lived through the war there, and she told me all about her experiences there, and I sort of pitched to her this idea of, would it be too close to you to do something about your experience living through the war in Bosnia? And she said no. And I wrote a play that was very much not her story, but was about a refugee who ends up in America and ends up being taken in by a priest, and sort of, thematically, where healing and altruism and caregiving sort of intersect. And it had some flashbacks to scenes in Bosnia during the war. And we got into rehearsals, and first day of tech, the sound effects, the bombs and the sound effects, and she completely shut down. And she overcame and persevered, and for art and for me, the smallest priority, but for me I was so young, and it was a huge lesson in just all of us as artists taking care of each other, and really the collaborative spirit and working with actors. And she gave so much as an actor, but she gave so much to that production as a human. I'm getting a little just thinking about it.
Tell us the name.
The name of the play was Cloven Tongues, and it was produced at a small theater, Lower East Side in Manhattan.
Was that one of your first plays?
That was, yeah, and that was essentially kind of the first thing I ever had up, like a full production in front of an audience, yeah. So very intense, very lovely experience. I learned a lot about so many different things, and just a wonderful collaboration in my working life that I've never forgotten. So
let's go back to how you got started as a playwright.
Sure.
Is that
sure.
Is that what your training is?
Yes and no. So I did go back to grad school to do my MFA. I don't believe everyone needs an MFA, but I came from an unrelated field, which I'll talk about in a second. Yeah. And so I kind of felt like, okay, if I was writing on the side, and I was it was a bit of a hobby, and I wanted to do it for real. So I decided I needed to go back to grad school. So I went and moved to New York and did my MFA, and blah blah blah. A little bit closer. Yeah. Sorry.
Any more gain on that speaker?
Keep telling me, because I'll get lazy. Keep telling me. I won't be offended. Keep telling me. I can hear it now. That's the spot. That's the spot. Yeah, keep telling me though, too, please. But before I went back to grad school for playwriting, I was an electrical engineer, and I still sort of have a day job related to my engineering background. So when we get to talking about the fifth domain, this all ties together. Yes. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so in other words, playwrights often have other things that they do on
Well,
the side.
sure, yes. It's my health insurance job, is what I say to people, yes.
And after tonight's gathering here, you're going to go home and do what?
Oh, I'm gonna teach a playwriting class online. so yeah, gig economy. We're all doing lots of things.
And it's
yes.
on the West Coast, so you have
Well,
to do
yes. So I'm right now based on the West Coast. So it was a 7 p.m. local class. So tonight I'll be 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'll be teaching.
And then he gets to get up and come to rehearsal tomorrow.
Yeah, but it'll be fine. I'm not working my day job this week, so it'll be fine.
Great. When you do new play development, do you have expectations going into the process? Or is there something specific that you want to hear in your plays?
Yeah, yes and no. I think it depends on the project and it depends on what stage I'm at with that particular project. For this week, I have a couple very particular things that I'm looking at in this script, and I sort of just want to focus on those. And then I'm also really just invested and ready to be in a room with actors again with this piece, and to have Catherine in the room and our director Kristen in the room, and just to kind of see as they start to get it up on their feet what I can learn. If you all come to the reading, I hope you will.
How many of you are coming this Friday?
Sorry.
No, that's good.
Know.
No, it's good.
Okay.
To know how many.
I didn't know if I was allowed to
Yes,
promote.
Yes. Please come.
But you will see it can be a difficult play. It's a very fun play. Don't let me scare you away. But it can be a very difficult play because it's a play that deals with technology. And so the subject matter is tech heavy, but also the idea behind how the play functions and its form is also a bit tech intricate. So for me, getting actors up on their feet and seeing things move in space and getting a little bit of sound and lighting in there with it really helps me understand what's working and what's not, especially for this play. That's not with all my plays. I could sit around the table and hear it and sort of be like, oh, okay. But with this, I feel I'm really at that place of needing more of that. So that's what I'm looking for this week.
That's great.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why this play surfaced to the top for us, and just a little background for all of you, I had met Victor's partner, Manita. I don't know if any of you remember Manita Gandhi came and did a play called Motherland, where she did the whole it was a one-woman show, and she took us all the way to the wedding, and it was a very heartfelt, emotional ride for her to do, but it was part of our Women in Playwriting Festival that we did in 2018, and she had, we were talking about who do you know, and what plays do you like, and what's the connective tissue to other playwrights, and that's how I learned about Victor, and yes, we obviously had emailed each other.
Yeah. And I've been saying that was before my partner and I were together, actually. So
And now
I don't know if that matters, but it feels like less. I don't know, less like, oh, who you know. It feels like more like, oh yeah,
right.
she sent me.
She just happened to just meet you,
she liked my play and sent it along. So.
And now they have a 3-year-old.
And now we have a child
Almost
together. So
it was all meant to be. But one of the reasons why that play kind of floated to the top from 2018 until now was obviously because the pandemic hit. So a lot of the plays, it takes time to get a play through the process. And we actually have a couple of volunteer readers in here today. So I'm really excited to talk about this with you in the room, because it takes a long time for the play to go through the process. And our literary team is over here, and they read all the plays first. They read all of them. And then they share them with the staff and with the Reader's Circle volunteers that we have. And then they make it to the top, which is to the artistic director's desk, Richard Hopkins. And I just was sitting in his office one day, and I said, all right, well, what other plays do you want to see on stage worked out in front of an audience? Because that's a great way to figure out how to play in your season.